All right, and we are back. So yeah, for this part of the show, like I said before, or mentioned before, we are going to review A Quiet Place because we saw that last week. So yeah, we're going to do our initial thoughts first. It's going to be spoiler-free, and then at a certain point in the show, we are going to get into spoilers, and we're going to, I guess, warn everybody in the case y'all want to turn it off and not be spoiled. But hopefully if you're listening to this, you've probably already seen it.
I would say if you haven't seen this movie, do not listen to any of the spoilers because there's a lot of stuff that happens.
Yeah, so for me, I really like this movie. I think I probably liked it the least out of everybody else because I guess I kind of wanted it to be scary, but it's a really well-directed movie. The acting is obviously awesome. It's really tense, and like I said, that has a lot to do with how it's directed. But yeah, I really liked it. One of the better horror movies I've seen in a while, so yeah. Go for it, Matt.
Dude, I love this movie so much. And I guess going into it, I thought it was going to be scarier too. And I don't like horror movies. So I was kind of like, everything I'd seen about it, like trailer-wise, cast-wise, I was like, I really want to see this movie, even though I don't like horror movies. Jesus. Man.
His mic just attacked him. But I feel like, yeah, like none of us here are really too into horror movies.
Oh,
but
no, hate them.
It's accessible to if you're not, because it's more of a suspense kind of movie.
I felt like I just died when
You
that
did.
hit my face.
Yeah.
But no, I thought it was going to be terrifying because everybody online was saying this movie is fucking scary.
And when you see like a 97 on Rotten Tomatoes,
you're like, okay, fuck, this must be like a really good horror movie, which I think it is. But I guess we've all kind of said, I don't know if we'd classify this as horror.
It is a horror. It's just a thriller horror.
It's just way more along the lines of being a thriller
It's hard
movie.
for me to even... I cannot stand horror movies. I'm just so bad with them. And I was not...
You've gotten better.
I have gotten better.
Can I finish my initial thoughts, you think?
Sorry.
Can I do that?
Dude, I want you to do it, man.
Thank you. God.
I want you to do it now.
All right. Anyway, though, I loved it. I think this movie, as I was kind of saying, it's way more emotional than I thought it was going to be.
It's very captivating.
It is. There's just a lot to it. There's a lot going on, and I think, you watch it, and it's just more than I thought.
It's a smart movie.
I knew I was going to like it, but I had a bar, and it exceeded that. So
right.
I loved it.
I'm happy.
Good. Okay. I also very much loved this movie. And again, I hate horror movies, so I was very pleasantly surprised that I could sit through this movie and not want to run out the theater because I've done that before. So
really, for what?
For one missed call.
Oh my god!
Wow.
Who's in that? Is that fucking?
I don't even know. What was that? When I was in sixth grade?
Didn't you run out of a haunted house too?
A haunted? Oh, I got kicked
the
out
Eddie
of
Murphy
a haunted.
movie?
No,
No, didn't.
I got kicked out of a haunted house.
Oh, I'm thinking about...
Oh no,
when
but
I
I
went
also
to-
ran away. I ran.
Didn't you go across
You
the street
ran
and just get a
away.
beer?
I just went and sat at a bar across the street. But either way, so I loved this movie, and it was extremely emotional and so heartwarming with a family, and I don't know. I even kind of teared up just at some of the stuff that was happening, and I don't know. All the acting is so amazing, especially in a movie that has pretty much no dialogue. It's all through facial expressions. So,
and that's the thing. The movie's more about. It's not as much about the monster or the horrors or whatever.
It's all about family.
It's more about their relationships,
right.
And they build that into a.
So yeah,
a good way.
I know Tyler apparently is oh, it's a mediocre
He's
movie.
not as emotional.
I hated it. No, I never said it was mediocre.
No, I know,
it
I'm
is
kidding.
very good. Whoa.
Oh my
Whoa.
Oh
thunder.
my
We're also
God.
recording this amidst
it's
a fucking
apocalypse.
hurricane,
Apocalypse.
I
Yeah,
guess.
it's awful outside.
That was the worst, though. That was
The
that was really
entire
bad.
apartment just shook.
Yeah.
So
That was loud thunder.
and it flickered. You could probably hear it on the mic.
Yeah.
It was like a little zap.
Yeah.
this is not a quiet place.
Wow.
Kill me.
Wow.
I didn't like that.
Take me out of this world.
I didn't like that at all.
But yeah, I loved the movie. I thought it was amazing. So and congrats, John.
Yeah.
You did great.
Yeah.
Very good. Omar, what you got?
Okay, so I probably like horror movies the most out of everybody here. I watch them often. I think they're really cool. Yeah, the concept for this movie I really, really liked. It was very simple. We didn't really know too much about the monsters or anything, or whatever, the creatures, which I didn't mind at all. It was, like you guys said, more about the family.
Yeah, you didn't need to know.
Exactly, and it just worked. I do think if they were to ever make any other versions of it or whatever, when it releases,
Please
I
don't.
told you guys.
No, I hope they do not make any more.
No. You remember last week I was saying if they were to make a version once it releases without any scores.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
okay, I got
it.
I thought you meant
silent
you're right.
film.
No.
I thought we were getting into the hole because there
Jesus.
probably will be a sequel.
No,
that
not
nobody
a sequel.
wants to happen.
No. When it
Oh
releases,
yeah,
I think that'd
this
be really
is
cool.
cool.
Yeah, because the score obviously everything with that movie. I mean, you can't really say it was a horror movie, but it was very intense throughout. I mean, just in the first like 5 minutes, because you know they've got like all these rules and stuff that they're not supposed to break, so you're just like kind of waiting for them to break it.
The movie answers your questions of
they
like how
break
the
it.
fuck they're gonna do this.
Exactly.
Like,
It just makes it so much more intense watching it.
And that's what I mean when I say it's smart, and it is intense. And what's the most interesting thing about the movie is that usually when you go see horror movies, people don't shut the fuck up in the theater.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
this needs to be said.
The theater
Yeah.
that we saw, I mean, it was like dead silent.
And just from
didn't-
talking to other people that have seen this movie too, I think so many theaters are like ours,
Dude,
where
yeah,
it's just
'cause
like,
I've
because
seen other
our
people
theater
talk
was
about it.
fucking packed, and it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
just it was set up to be like
Yeah, I
we
was
know
very
this is gonna be a
surprised.
quiet movie,
Yeah.
and
We
people
saw it
are
on
talking
opening night,
the
so.
whole time, but really nobody said anything. I mean,
No.
you hear more of like people's fucking like candy wrappers, like not even being obnoxiously loud, but you just hear this stuff,
Right.
and it's because everybody really is. They feel like they can't make any noise.
No, I was so proud.
It's like you're
of our
trying to like
theater.
unwrap something, and you know that thing where like you're waiting for like a loud part in the movie, so that
Right.
people don't
Right.
hear you like opening up your fucking candy bar. But in this movie, there's like so little of it. And it's
I
just-
do that. That's like rule of thumb. Any movie I see, if I have like a snack or something, I wait till it's loud. Because then when it gets
Exact-
fucking
yeah.
quiet and you're fucking
Yep.
like rustling around, it's just
Exactly.
I remember we
it's
saw
so
Remember saw X-Men and my fucking M&M's.
The first
wasn't there.
minute of the
Yeah.
movie, Matt opens a huge pack of M&Ms, and you just hear them all hit the floor.
Oh,
Like,
Dude, they're all gone, and it wasn't
All
even the
of
ones
them.
I
What
snuck.
kind?
It wasn't like peanut M&Ms. They were like the
Ooh.
giant ones too.
yeah.
And I didn't even. It wasn't like I snuck them in,
No,
so I
we
got them for like
paid
90
for
cents.
it.
I paid
I'd be
like
so-
fucking movie theater
like
$5
$4
premium
for a
price
bag of
for 'em.
M&Ms.
And so that they were just I think I maybe had like 4 or 5 of them left. What is all that? Is that
The
rain?
rain,
That's
yeah.
Okay.
that would
Yeah.
be our fireplace.
That would be our fireplace.
Our fireplace.
Oh, your fireplace. That's right. We're gonna have to do something about that, but we'll do it after. Okay. So yeah, did everybody say their bit?
Yeah, I think,
Think so,
I think so, yeah.
Let's,
So we got-
let's deep dive into
All right,
this.
so
Do
yeah,
it.
we're gonna deep dive into the spoilers. If you haven't seen the movie and you don't want to hear it,
Turn us off.
get the hell out of here.
Later.
But come back, please.
But
Yeah,
hopefully,
we'll
I
be
mean,
back.
the movie's been out a week, so hopefully, if y'all are listening to this, y'all have seen it. But yeah,
And if you haven't, go. Because it is so worth it seeing in theaters, honestly.
so,
yeah,
so
it's-
Matt, I feel like you like this movie the most. Do you want to start off on this like?
Yeah, sure. I can
Going
start,
off on
start
it?
kind of going through it. All right. So we'll summarize it, kind of like an extended summary where we'll just kind of talk about it as
Talk
we go
about
through
things
it.
as
We'll
we
keep us
go through.
on track because we could be kind of bad with that if we don't. And okay, so basically this movie kind of starts off. You see this, within like a gas station or like a fucking just like a little
It's
shop.
like a,
Convenience
it's like a
store?
Yeah.
CVS.
Yeah, like a
practically.
pharmacy.
Right, and so that complete silence. You kind of get the point of what's going on. But anyway, so they're looking for medicine. I think for the Marcus, so the middle kid's
Yeah.
name, because he's kind of sick or whatever. So
The kid from Wonder.
that's right. He wasn't
One of the kids
He was
in
very
Oh,
good.
he's so adorable. I, love
you,
that actor.
You turned to me during it, and you're like, "Is that the kid from Wonder?" And I was like,
Oh yeah, I
"No."
heard that.
He's in
And
Wonder.
then
and
like two seconds later, I was like, "Oh wait."
You were
yeah,
like, yeah,
he was in
never
Wonder
mind.
and he was in Suburbicon, and John Krasinski wanted him after he saw Suburbicon because he thought he was good.
yeah, that's cool." Basically, then Bo, I think I'm saying is that none of these characters have names in the movie.
They don't say them, yeah.
but they do have actual names. So Bo is like the youngest kid.
It says it like on the credits and shit.
Right, and he finds just like a little toy rocket, and he's like reaching for it. He gets it, and
What does he
I
do?
guess reaching for it. Oh, what did he do with it?
Yeah.
And so basically, that's when Lee, John Krasinski's character, kind of shows up and he takes it from him. He's like, "No, we can't use this.
You
Dude. We got to be
see-
quiet."
You see the look in Lee's eyes when he sees his kid grab this
Lee.
rocket, and you're just like, "Oh my god,
Oh, yeah, 'cause he's-
the
can't say-
world's gonna
I
end."
can't say Lee seriously.
I know, I just wanna
Oh,
say
no, I want to say
John.
John.
Because it's like when we saw the movie, like a couple days later, I think Omar said something like about because their name are the Abbotts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Omar said something about Lee Abbott, and Bailey was like, well, "Who the fuck? What are you talking about?"
It's like you have no idea who these
Yeah, it's like they
characters'
have
names
last
are.
names too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically he takes the rocket from him, and they're basically leaving this place now. And I think the daughter, whose name is Reagan, gives the rocket. She takes the batteries out, right? Or no, John takes the batteries out, and
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
gives the rocket back to him.
And then the little kid, he takes the batteries
Yeah.
himself.
Right.
And
No
this
one
is
sees
kind
him do
of
it.
the first point where you're like, okay, if you want to pick apart this movie, you could be like, why the fuck? Or do the parents not
Why
like
didn't
follow
one of
the
them
kids?
take the batteries?
Yeah, or just because they just leave them on the counter. It's like whatever. I think with like horror movies, you kind of just got to give in to some of those things. But basically they leave, and so you kind of just know, all right, well, he's going to put the batteries back in it, and that's exactly what happens. They're crossing this bridge. Tell you what, though, that was a fucking intense way to open the movie.
Oh, for sure.
Because they're crossing the bridge basically, and you just hear the toy rocket go off, which essentially is, I guess, the first real sound you hear. Yeah.
There it is.
And then you just know we don't know anything yet about what I guess we don't even really know that they're monsters or creatures yet. I mean aside from the trailers,
If
but
you hadn't seen the trailers, you'd be like, "What the fuck?"
you're like,
is
so
going
what is
on?
going to happen?
Right.
And this thing just fucking darts out of the
Yeah.
forest, kills the kid, and that's it. And that I think is so terrifying. That just there's nothing else to it. It's not like then they fight the fucker.
Right.
It's just like
it's just gone.
The kid's
it's
dead.
gone forever.
I love
takes
that.
him.
That's like how the movie started. Like that's how it was set up or whatever. Because just like right off the bat, like there's shit. Shit
They're like,
Oh,
this
for
shit's
sure.
happening.
Right.
And
I
that
think-
was in the story. Sorry, not to interrupt. They were on day like 80.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
89.
I think that was day
Of like
80.
whenever these monsters first came,
Right.
and then basically after that they do a time
Which
jump
is
to,
awesome
like 3
because
something.
I'm glad that's how they start the movie, like on whatever the 89th day, not like on day
Right.
one.
Oh, for
Because
sure.
I mean, the movie would be very, very slow,
Again,
dragging. They'd be just.
It's
like,
one
all
of
over
those
the
things
place.
where it's like we don't really need all the backstory
Exactly.
of that, and I
Exactly.
think there are people that see this movie and they're like, "Well, I want to know more about
Well,
it. I don't
that's-
get it,"
yeah.
and it's like you're really just not supposed to get it. It's like,
Right.
what explanation could you have gotten that would even satisfy
It's not
you?
even-
I mean, we've seen it all before. I don't think we really need it.
And it's not even really a story that's supposed to be explaining these aliens or monsters. It's more a story of how this family is surviving in a world
Right.
that's been attacked by something.
Exactly.
Right. for
So
sure.
it really just needs to highlight what the family's going through, and people can get the hell over it.
And
if
what-
you
what-
don't know where these monsters came from.
what grips the audience and makes it to where people don't like talk and stuff like that and want to pay attention is too because you are expecting like, are they gonna explain it? Like, and you want to keep watching because you're interested. So
Right.
it just works out
I agree
better
with that
not
for sure.
saying what.
But yeah, this little boy just got swooped up, and
Yeah.
then it just cuts to the family at the house, and you're just like,
Yeah, they do a time jump.
Yeah, they take like
So
a pretty
sad.
big time jump. I guess it's what, like the equivalent of like a year and a half,
about
something like that.
About a year.
Yeah, they go to like day. Is it 300 or 400 something?
it's
It was
four. I think it's
400.
400.
It's
something.
four something. Yeah.
But basically, so then you're in like their actual house. I think that's the first shot we get of like the dry erase board that's kind of got like John Krasinski's all like his notes
and stuff,
about
yeah.
like what's fucking going on. I think that's when we find out there's 3 of them.
Weakness.
Like trying to figure
Yeah.
out the creatures.
Oh,
like, what is
three
his
creatures
weakness?
in there?
Armor?
Or-
But basically, he's got all these notes, and then you also see he's got kind of like all these little like fucking like earpiece stuff, and like the diagram of like a human ear, and he's kind of working on stuff which you assume. His daughter's deaf.
His
so
da-
he's
yeah,
kinda
their
trying
daughter
to
in the
build like a
movie-
hearing aid for her.
She's actually deaf, and she's actually deaf in real life too.
Yeah, a little
So
interesting
Which
side
is
note.
it's super cool that he thought to cast someone
right,
like
like
that.
specifically.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's cool.
for sure. It definitely adds a lot to it. But then basically, you just keep going over. We're seeing more and more of how they have to interact with their lives. Like, the kids after they eat. I guess even when they're eating, they use like lettuce instead of plates.
Dude,
Yeah.
like
that's so cool.
was it
that-
lettuce? What
It
It
was
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 it?
like
lettuce,
lettuce leaves. They literally
Okay.
had to put their food in, and it's like little things like that you don't even take
I
into
wonder if-
consideration. Having to be so
Yeah.
quiet.
I wonder if they ate the lettuce like afterwards.
yeah, they
hope
just like
not.
eat the plate every time.
I was wondering that the whole time
It's
because
like a
I think
lettuce wrap.
that's kind of like how they serve food at Little
Oh, I-
Tokyo or something.
for some reason,
Like-
I thought you meant like after they filmed the scene, they let the kids eat the fucking lettuce.
All right, we're done the scene.
Nope.
Get rid of that shit because we don't want it. Eat it right now.
Oh man! But then basically, it's really cool when you see kind of all the different things they have to, or ways they have to interact with
Yeah,
this
right,
world
exactly.
to like basically just survive.
And they're playing a board game, and all the pieces, like they're playing Monopoly,
Yeah.
and all the
It's like
pieces are
felt.
like, yeah, it's like
Or, like
cutouts
knickknacks,
of like,
but like stuff that can't make any noise.
It's all soft.
That's really cool. And I guess that's when you get maybe like the first kind of like jump scares when you kind of that might have been in the trailer too, but they knock over the lantern.
I don't think it was in the trailer actually.
Maybe not.
It was the letter.
It was in
yeah.
one
Oh
of
man,
them.
I know nothing.
I mean, there was
No,
like
it
3
was.
trailers. There wasn't one of them.
I think it's in it, but you don't even know the context of it. Like it's gonna
Yeah.
happen right here. But basically, they knock over the lantern, and to be honest, what even why does that the?
it's just loud.
No, I know it's loud, but what happens to where they don't get fucking eaten from that? Did it go and get something outside instead?
John Krasinski's character just like he gets it out, like he puts it out really quick.
Right.
And they just stay silent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they
But
don't
doesn't
move.
something like fall out of a window after that?
Oh,
like
oh,
he's looking
yeah.
outside.
It was an animal or something.
It was like
that.
a
Yeah.
squirrel or something.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the creature kills it.
Right.
And that was,
A
that was
raccoon.
I guess when we first
Yeah.
see him.
Right. But anyway, so we kind of get past that, and then we even get to that whole scene where I guess Lee is kind of like built the next version of the hearing aid he's going to give his daughter. And you kind of get the sense that he's done this a lot because when he goes to give it to her, she's very much. What does she say?
She
keeps
says it
saying,
won't
it
work.
won't work, and they're signing everything.
And he
in this movie,
keeps saying you have to
obviously.
try, and she's
Right.
like, it won't work.
And I love this scene too because after doing that, like that whole exchange for about 3 or 4 times back and forth, he just like takes her hand and just gives it
Was
to her.
that-
And he's like, if you want it, then take it.
Yeah.
Was that right after he stopped her from? You remember like when she was trying to, I guess, go
Oh, she
down
was
the
like,
basement or whatever?
yeah, she was trying to.
Oh
go
yeah,
down
so
the
you can't come
basement.
down here.
I didn't really understand why he wouldn't let her go down there. I mean, it's not like there was like.
I kind of
really-
think that may play back into the whole thing about like we know he doesn't not love his daughter, but we know that he knows that she's the reason that Bo, the youngest son, is dead, and maybe I'm not saying like holds anything against her,
Well-
but maybe it's just this whole thing. He's like, just don't be involved in all this
I also
stuff.
think it might have something to do with the fact that like that's where he was doing all his research
I guess,
for these
yeah,
monsters.
Yeah.
because it's like he told her, he told her, you know, like you know why you can't go down there or something. I think.
Oh, he did.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
I'm
interesting.
pretty sure.
I don't even
yeah.
remember that.
I also thought, just to mention, like, it's super cool. It shows on, like, the staircase going down to the basement. They literally have, like, painted on, not like footprints, but it's like for where you need to step.
Right. Yeah. I didn't
so
even notice
that like the wood doesn't creak.
Right.
I just think it's like they literally
That's cool.
have everything down to that, like where you step specifically.
And that's what I love about this movie, because there's different points during it where you come up with a plot hole in your head.
Right.
And I think the movie resolves most of them as the movie goes on.
It's a smart movie.
It definitely is.
It is.
So anyway, we get beyond that is when Lee is taking the middle, or Marcus, he's taking him basically out to, scavenge for food and stuff. And then Reagan, is kind of pleading that she wants to go. And it's kind of interesting because his son Marcus doesn't even want to go. He's like, can I stay? And she wants to go. And I guess you get into that whole thing where, like, the father is like, no, I have to teach my son. You need to be able to do this. I think he even says, like, you're going to be able to protect your mother as time goes on.
His pregnant mother.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's true. It is,
Poor Emily being so pregnant in such a terrible time.
Yeah, it's kind of like, why is she pregnant? Why does
That's the thing. The movie doesn't ever tell you. Like, it's one of those things, like, she's obviously just pregnant because it's like they lost one of their other kids, so I guess they wanted to try again, and then like they prepared for it very
well. It's interesting to think about. Like, did they plan? I guess that they probably did.
Or was
plan
it just
to
an
have a kid,
accident?
or was it an accident? And as soon as they
Like,
realized
they
it,
don't
they started
tell you.
planning.
It could be either or. I guess you're just supposed to think it doesn't really matter.
And I think that's cool
but...
too, because you can kind of go along either way. I guess, like, for plot, it would actually make more sense to think that it was just an accident, and now they're like fucked, and they have to figure it out.
That's what would make
because you would say, like, why would they even want to bring a kid?
Because I don't see how two people could be like, yeah, we're gonna fucking bring a kid in this awful world,
right?
And that's probably what it is. But it's cool to also think, like, because it does make sense. Like, we lost a kid, and now we're gonna do everything we can to make this perfect, and let's try to have another kid.
Which they even show, which was like such a sad scene. Whenever they show, what I don't know Emily Blunt's character's name,
Evelyn, I think.
Evelyn.
Yeah.
They show her sitting in the youngest son's bedroom, and she's just sitting there, like, in a chair, crying, mourning her dead son. It's such a sad scene.
It definitely is.
And she's sitting there, like, super pregnant.
I mean,
so.
everything with that. Obviously it was sad, but like I said, that it sets up the whole movie, because that also, like, you could tell, like, Lee, John Krasinski's character, like, that gives him more. I mean, not that he wasn't a responsible father prior, but that just, makes him feel a lot more responsible, that, now he has to protect his kids.
Oh, yeah.
Now he has to protect his wife.
Oh, yeah.
He's doing all this research. I mean, we really have no idea what they were doing prior to this, like, new world or whatever they were thrown into.
I feel like they were probably just trying to figure out how the fuck to, like...
No, I mean, like,
what are you gonna do?
Yeah, no, I mean, like, prior to the creatures or whatever. Like,
oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, they seem really smart and knowledgeable. Even the kids, like, whatever. So, yeah, now he feels a lot more responsible, and he's doing all this research, just trying to figure everything out. And I think that kind of sets up the whole movie.
Oh, for sure.
Cool.
It definitely does. So then, to kind of fast forward a bit, we get, he takes his son out there. They get to this lake. The son is obviously very, like, cautious because he never makes any noise. And I guess this is his first time going to the lake. And I think John, like, tries to get one of them, John Lee, whatever. He tries to get, like, one of the fish, and it kind of, like, shoots out into the kid's, like, going for it. And he's like, no, don't worry about it. But then that's when he kind of can start saying, you get the whole thing about, like, you can make noise as long as it's lower than the loudest noise around, which is kind of like common sense, but at the same time, it just sets one of the rules for the whole film, I guess. So that was cool. And then as it goes on, they get, like, underneath that waterfall, and I guess this is, like, really the first lines of, like, spoken dialogue in the movie,
to each other.
is when, like, he starts talking. And then I guess when you've got any movie where you've spent 45 minutes of it so far with no dialogue, and then you get, like, the first lines, it hits you no matter what. But I feel like just in this, it was like, I mean, I don't even remember exactly what he says.
Well, they start talking about, I think the son asked him, like, why he didn't let
his daughter,
like,
Reagan,
go with them or go in the room or whatever, and they kind of just... I think he even asked, like, do you hate her? And John Krasinski's like, no.
Right.
Like, obviously not.
Right.
Like,
I felt like that part under the waterfall was, like, satisfying to a certain extent, just because, like you said, they're quiet, they can't really talk. It was mostly sign language until that part, and
they even do the thing where they're like howling,
exactly,
and, like, kind of having
was
fun
cool.
for the first time,
like,
too, and that was so cool.
It was like it was very, very tense up until that part for me, and it kind of just helps you a little, just for a second, like, relax.
Well, his son is, like, terrified,
right?
Even being under a waterfall, John or Lee is literally like,
and the thing is,
John Lee,
right? And I'm sure
John Lee is a cool name.
That is a cool name.
That is
could have been the podcast name.
Wow.
John Lee. Hey,
And I'm pretty sure you guys like felt the same way.
like
But
that.
as I was watching the movie, I mean, throughout like any scene or whatever, I'm just always thinking, how are they gonna fuck up, or when are they gonna fuck up?
Yeah, but in the waterfall, you kind of feel relieved.
Exactly.
It's
yeah,
like the only
just-
time you
just
can
for a
relax
second.
for a second,
Right,
right?
yeah,
Which is
so
the
that was-
same
it was
for
satisfying.
this.
Which would have been the time to fucking hit us, but I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a sweet little thing in the movie.
It definitely
Yeah.
is. I love that whole bit. So then basically they leave, and I guess this is another part where it maybe opens up. You see the lake, and you're like, so why don't they just live by the lake? They could make a little bit more noise, and it'd be
Right.
fine. And so you're thinking, well, at least go to the lake when she's pregnant. And so again, your mind kind of develops this plot hole at this point, which down the line we get an answer for anyway.
Right.
But then we go and they leave the lake and they're going to another like kind of residence, which I guess we don't really talk about this, but there was a part prior to this where they light up that fucking flame thing.
Yeah.
Just a fire.
They
I
communicate
guess.
with other people.
They
it's
kinda
like
just
on top
check
of a
up on each
tower,
other.
They
And-
light up like
yeah.
a campfire.
And we don't know
practically.
how often they really do this. It could be every night. It could be like once a week or once a month. But it's basically like they clearly have a set time with all the other kind of families they know are out there where it's just like light this thing up. We're going to look out and see who's still out there. So
Yeah.
that was kind of cool. So
It's like, hey, we're okay.
yeah. So they have another place I guess they go to. I don't really remember what they were doing going there. Maybe they were going to give that family, husband and wife, like some food or something. And honestly, this, I think I've told y'all, this probably would have been the scariest part if I hadn't seen it in the trailer, where they're kind of the close up on the kid and he's walking through the forest, and then you see the man just kind of stand
He's
up or
like
whatever.
a
It's very,
appears.
it's
that
very.
that
That
would
man
have
was
freaked
very
me out,
creepy,
but
dude.
you
Like,
do
the
see that in like
faces-
the last trailer, so
the
I kind of
faces
knew
he
that was
was
going to happen.
making.
Oh yeah, because basically that's when you see. So his wife was like dead. She obviously had made a
Right.
sound at some point, and they had killed her. But he was still alive, and I guess you get this whole sense he doesn't want to live anymore or whatever. It is kind of fucked up that he's going to choose to
Ruin
yell
these other people's
and
day.
make his noise next to them. Although I guess we don't really know. It definitely seems like these creatures come out and just kill the sound, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
And
They
John
literally
Krasinski
can't-
obviously
It's not like
knew
they
that
eat-
because the kid is thinking in his head, "We're fucked." You can tell
Right.
from his face, but John's like, "No, be quiet. We're running over this tree. We're just gonna,
Right.
we're gonna
That's kind
sidestep."
of when you realize that, I mean, you get the sense that obviously these creatures like track everything through sound, but here is like you find out that they literally can't see. Like
Yeah.
like these creatures
They're
literally
blind.
can only attack
Completely.
anything from the sound they
Right.
make.
Right.
So
So that was cool. We get this. The dude kind of like scrunches his face up and just lets out this fucking like terrifying like
The
"Ah!"
weirdest face, dude.
and then so it basically obviously our main characters are fine. They get out of this shit. And then I guess as all this is going on, we got Emily Blunt starting to go into labor.
Oh
which
yeah.
is,
Well,
it's
not
like,
only
no, you
that-
can't do it yet.
not only that, but Reagan
Oh.
runs away
That's
from
true.
home
Yeah.
and leaves her pregnant mother alone.
All by herself.
Yeah, she's by herself. She goes
Well,
into labor.
in all fairness, she wasn't supposed to be going to labor for like another what?
That's true. You
3
do
weeks?
look. You do see the
Yeah.
calendar
They
at one
didn't-
point and it says due date, which
Right.
you would assume. I
So-
guess they're just careful planners.
She
But
can't.
And how they knew when the due date
yeah.
was is beyond me.
But yeah,
they did some crazy stuff. But so basically, she's going into labor early. We got that whole shot before where she was going up the stairs and kind of her whatever dress like
Yeah.
tripped on the nail, and that's just like fucking pointing out.
Dude,
So
that
we know.
nail, man.
So we knew
On
she
the
was going to step
staircase.
on it, and so obviously she's going into labor, going downstairs into the whole safe room, and fucking
I
step
thought-
right on
in the
that nail.
foot.
I thought
right on
every
it.
fucking character was gonna step on that
Oh,
nail.
yeah.
The creatures, everybody.
that
they
nail
do-
was going to be the real villain
They
of the
leave
movie.
that nail there
I hated
throughout,
that
even
nail.
after this.
And they
but
keep
yeah,
they keep showing it.
they do,
Right.
and it's I guess
and the
after
bloody
that, it's just
footprint
a-
on it.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But basically, so that goes in her foot. It looks like it's gonna fucking come out the other side of her
it
foot.
does.
Yeah, it looks
Thankfully
terrible.
that doesn't happen. But she does have to like pull her foot off of it. You
She's-
just feel so bad for her.
I mean,
she's like going through hell right now.
Imagine being in labor and then stepping on a nail like that and not being able to make a sound.
I know.
I don't even know how you could.
I don't know.
I would immediately just die. Just immediately scream and be like, "Well, here, this is the end of me."
Power to Emily Blunt.
But
Yeah.
so yeah,
Powerful woman.
strong woman. There you go.
But anyway, so she's going into labor. I guess as this is happening too is when Reagan is going to visit Bo,
The site or whatever,
like
yeah.
the kind of back on that bridge, the little makeshift grave site they made, which was also really sad and kind of cool. And then she puts the rocket there without the sound.
Yeah, she.
Yeah.
So
she
it's kind of
cuts-
cool because she wires it. She's got the batteries in
Right.
it. But
she,
she
like,
takes
cuts
she
the
wires
cord.
yeah, so that it's not making sound anymore, and
But
you
it
just have
still
the lights
lights
going there.
up,
That was
right.
real cool. Kind of like imagery is nice. But yeah. So then more of this. I've told y'all before. I love when basically John Krasinski and his son are on their way back to the fucking
You
house.
see the lights.
And the lights in the cornfield that they had rigged up. They're not yellow anymore, they're red, which she
Right.
and Emily Blunt had like switched, like fucking help. Obviously I was there for like a sign. And it's like getting dark and he sees those red lights and he just fucking like starts bolting
Dude,
there.
yeah.
And I just thought that, even though that's not like a jump scare or anything, there's just something like, that's when like your heart kind of just
Like
sinks.
that's when you know shit's about to go down.
It's like,
Yeah.
fuck.
The movie speeds up.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I've even seen people online criticize from this point on because the movie has very much of like a score going forward, and people are saying it really didn't need that. Although I mean,
it's
don't
like
know.
action scenes and stuff.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
Like
why.
people are saying, I saw something online. Some dude was like, the sound in our theater like cut out for 15 minutes, and I thought that's how the movie was supposed to be. And he's like, I recommend all theaters turning off the sound during these 15 minutes. And I'm like, dude,
What is with like?
it's not gonna happen. It's like, no, I mean, I think it, like you said, it's action scenes. You know, it's supposed
Yeah.
to be like that. So it's, I don't know. He basically runs, and I don't think he forgets about his kid, but at the same time, he's thinking my pregnant wife. Like,
Well, he
that's
didn't forget
my
about
goal.
him. He told him what to do. You know, with the fireworks.
Right, with the
and everything.
fireworks.
Right.
And I guess you have faith in your kid too that they
And
probably
I think he was
practice
told,
that.
like the kid was told to, stay there and wait until
Yeah.
one of the parents came back to get him.
right,
so I
because they
guess
do
just
kind of go to that
assumed-
after where they're like, where are they? And they're like, they're
Right.
smart kids. They're going to wait for us.
Well,
Right.
when she went into labor, I don't remember what happened exactly, but something happened where something made noise, and so the monsters came and
Well,
started.
she screamed.
Did she?
Yeah.
I don't
Once the
remember.
fireworks started.
Well, she
No,
screams
I'm
all the
talking
fireworks start
before
because
that.
then
Before
before
that?
before the fireworks start.
The
to
monsters are
distract
already
them.
there.
They're in.
Oh, okay. Well,
they're-
she dropped.
Oh, yeah, they're in
No,
the
she
house.
turns on the little egg thing. The
The timer?
the
no,
like,
but there was
No,
they
no,
were
okay, okay.
already there.
When she was going down the stairs, right before she steps on the nail, she was carrying something, and as soon as she steps on the nail, she
Oh.
drops the.
Oh, it's a
fuck out.
picture.
Yeah.
It's a
yeah,
picture
it
frame.
Yeah, the
breaks,
frame, whatever.
picture
So
frame
that's-
breaks.
yeah.
So when
And
she
that's when they came.
when she is going into labor, steps on the nail, drops.
She makes, like,
whatever it is. She realizes like she had to hurry up, yank her foot off this nail, and then get to a bathtub,
Right.
and like she rigged a timer to go off and put it in a different
so she can get
Exactly.
part
away.
of the
Oh,
room.
yeah, to
Which
make
was
a sound.
smart.
I completely
because
forgot
she
about
knew
that.
they were coming, and she was like, I gotta make a run for it pretty much. So she put
Right.
it on the other side of the room and went off. Obviously the
And she
monster
runs.
went over there, and she ran upstairs
Yeah,
to get in
very smart.
the tub so she could birth this child.
And then the fireworks go off,
And
then
that's when you
she-
realize
that's when
they
she
had a
starts
plan
screaming
for
and
this
she-
all along.
Yeah, and she gives birth.
Right. And,
It's
and
very-
that goes back to the whole rule they set up with, the loudest noise. And
Right,
it's like,
exactly.
okay, so they had this all figured out, which I thought was,
Right.
really, really cool. And also
Yeah.
just the image
And-
of like all those fireworks going off and the sounds. It was like, it's
And that's
just
the thing
so
with the
cool.
fireworks. I think that's really cool because, I mean, there's a lot of other things that could have made that much of a sound, but I think the whole fireworks up in the sky and everything,
Absolutely.
just so Reagan could also see it. Because
Yeah.
you've got to keep in mind, she can't hear shit.
Right.
So
she can know what's going on. And then
Exactly, and that's the thing.
also, we were
She saw
talking
it.
before about how also fireworks, it's like a sound you can't pinpoint.
right.
Right.
It's because
exactly.
people were saying, so aren't they going to go to the sound and like fuck it? But it's like the fireworks up in the sky. The creatures were probably like fucking confused.
They were like,
Right.
what the fuck's going
Yeah,
on?
because never mind. I'm not gonna get into that.
What?
Some with like the shotgun, but we can
Oh.
talk about that later. But yeah, so that obviously is cool. And I guess at this point now, Lee is like getting into the house, and
Right.
he kind of goes upstairs or downstairs or wherever and sees the tub, and it's all like bloodied and stuff, and he's like, "Fuck."
He thinks
like,
she's
He
dead.
immediately
yeah, because he's probably thinking like, "There's
drops.
no way she could have done this." And then you get the another jump scare kind of thing where her hand like in the shower.
Right.
That I did jump out on that one,
Yeah.
but you just see this like bloody hand hit the door to the shower, and it's so sad too because you see John like drop to the ground, just like my wife's dead, like
Yeah.
the baby's dead, my wife's dead, and like you just see him hit like that part of like. I'm sorry, I just got so
You're good,
distracted.
you're good.
Dude looking at us.
I just got so distracted. I'm sorry, but you just see it like hit him as hard as it did when his kid died. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's crazy. It's very powerful. But then they kind of go. Me and Tyler love this whole thing because they
Oh,
kept
the
showing it in the
mattress?
trailer,
Jesus.
and we didn't even. I guess in the
It's-
trailer, maybe
it's
they edited
different.
out the baby or something.
did.
They added out that like he's holding on to like Emily Blunt,
Blunt,
right.
and the baby.
Right, because basically they're going underground.
So
which
why
this is when
even
we
put that in the trailer?
I
Like
don't
it's
know.
so goofy.
That's what I'm saying. It's very.
I mean, I'm
goofy in the
happy.
trailer.
wait.
It's funny though.
I know you guys want to talk about this, but real quick, it just like right before they went to the house, I think that scene took place in right before when he was carrying Emily Blunt and she's not even holding the baby or whatever. That was right before it, right?
No, she was holding the baby.
Well,
I'm
no,
pretty
you remember
sure.
how her arms were like all over the fucking place, and John's like holding her.
I don't.
When they were walking to the house, you remember? That's the whole thing when she said,
Oh,
I wasn't even holding the baby.
Yeah, I don't remember if that happens before they get downstairs or not. But that's when, okay, she kind of goes back and she says, like, because obviously this is like an inner demon she struggles with now. I was thinking back about when their youngest son died, and she says the whole thing about, like, my hands were free.
Yeah, like who?
Like
who
I could have been carrying him. Like
Right.
like this whole thing about like are we bad parents?
Yeah.
But way worse. Than
I think that was maybe right before they
Yeah,
walked into the house.
it
Okay,
could
I
have
just
been.
wanted to.
But yeah, obviously that's another very powerful thing,
Yeah.
and you feel so bad for them. It's like they did just kind of fuck up, and it's another one of those things where you think back to like why weren't they carrying him?
Right.
Kind of
And I
like
mean,
a plot
dude,
hole, and then
when
you
she
realize
asked-
it's actually just like a character.
When
like,
she asked that question, like, who are we? If we can't protect our kids, whatever, that hit me. And
Oh,
I mean,
for
that
sure.
kind of sets up like the ending of the movie. But
definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then just to the whole mattress thing is kind of funny. He goes and into like the kind of underground bunker soundproof room, whatever, and he just pulls the mattress over them. And in the trailer, that part is so funny. Obviously,
so funny.
in the context of the movie, not funny at all. Very smart that they have this whole underground basement like soundproofed essentially. But really cool. They get under there,
and then the baby like starts crying.
Yeah.
And like the way they solve that is they have like a what is it like a
It almost looks like a miniature
wait,
coffin.
oh my
Is
god.
that the
not
oxygen?
that like the oxygen.
breathing
yeah,
Yeah,
They
but
like-
it's inside of this miniature coffin.
Well, they put the breathing mask on the
They
baby.
put like a breathing mask on it, and then there's a part where basically at this point they have to go and find the other kids because they're not with them obviously. So there's a scene where John Krasinski puts the baby. And it has the breathing
Oh
mask
my
on,
God.
and then they put it in a box.
I know what
To
you're
be
about to
fair,
say, too.
this scene,
box.
I don't think the scene is goofy at all. I'm laughing more because they give you about a minute of context as if like they're putting the breathing mask on him, they're putting the baby in the box,
And it
the
has a
box
hole
has
in
a
it.
hole in it, like a
Yeah.
breathing, like the baby is not going to fucking suffocate in this box. But in our theater, and like I said, the theater was really good about like being quiet, but when they slide the door onto the box and the baby's in there, somebody just like down in our theater just lets out this like audible like like
Out of
the
all the
like the
parts
baby's
you
gonna
got,
fucking
it was
die.
fucking
I was
funny.
like, dude, did you black out for the last
Yeah.
minute? The baby's gonna be fine.
They're killing the baby.
It was just really funny, and I was laughing for about
yeah,
a minute.
from-
Took
from-
me kind of out of it, but
From then on, he goes to find the other two kids, and they're in like this like corn silo.
dude, yeah. And apparently, I looked that up because people were like, "Can you really die from like
You
drowning in
can.
corn?"
Oh,
you
yeah,
can.
for sure.
You
It's
definitely
like
can. It's a very
quicksand.
Someone falls in, you're fucked.
Yes.
I mean, I've seen that scene like in a lot of movies or whatever
Yeah.
TV shows,
And it's,
but,
like, terrifying.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, they fall into like this silo, and then eventually they get out. How do they even get out? Because the door falls.
The creature breaks in through the
Yeah.
bottom.
They get out
Remember?
that way, but the way they survive is because when
door.
they fell
The
in,
doors.
the door falls in
That's
with
right.
them,
they
so
use
they
them
use
kind
it
of like
kind of like in
Titanic.
The Titanic. That's
what I was
dude. That's what I was
I mean,
thinking.
that's
yeah.
exactly what it
you know,
is.
they both fit on the door, so
Yeah,
So
so
Jack
it's
and
always that
fucking
fucking problem.
they could have
Yeah,
done it.
Good point.
Easy.
Good point.
Oh man, but yeah, so that whole thing is intense. There's a point where Reagan or was it the son goes underneath the corn
Reagan
and they're
does.
pulling.
Well, technically
Dude,
they
that
both
part
do.
scared me. a
But one
little.
of them's pulling the other one's hand
And
out.
you think, like,
Remember
what
that?
is he gonna
And
pull
you think
up?
like, is he pulling out like the dead kid, or is he pulling out the creature? What the fuck's gonna happen? And it ends up being another one of those just like,
even with when the hand came out, it looked weird at first,
Yeah.
like the very first. I don't know.
oh, it did.
Yeah.
Go, oh yeah, because when the hand starts coming out, it looks like it's like limp.
Yeah, I was like, what
about
the fuck?
About to,
Yeah.
Death by corn.
Jeez.
yeah, which can happen apparently. But then so yeah, they do end up getting out of there, and John Krasinski's basically gotten to them now at this point. They kind
But
of
the monster's going
reunite.
nuts.
Yeah, the monster is going because what even happens? Because they get a whole moment where they hug and everything.
The what?
Right?
I don't know. I think
I don't even remember because they get out of the corn tower thing, and then Lee like reunites with his kids and they hug and everything, and then shit hits the fan again. I don't even remember.
I don't
why
remember
they got that
exactly
kind
what
of break.
happens. I think the fact that like the fireworks went off and like so much sound has been going on. I think like these fucking.
Maybe I was confused.
It's just going nuts, and like it's like hunting them. I guess like it knows that they're there.
right.
And I feel like we forgot to mention though that you find out. Don't you find out when she's
Oh, yeah.
on whenever they're in the corn or whatever that
no, right before I think. Are you talking about her
her
ear thing?
earpiece?
Oh,
No,
yeah.
no, that was before she found her brother. You remember when she was running through the?
Yeah, I guess we didn't really touch on
Oh,
that, but
yeah.
you're starting to get these glimpses of like the hearing aid that her dad gave her is kind of got this.
It's like a high
It's
frequency.
A
The
lot of
frequency
people-
It's
fucks
what
with the-
is actually going to be like the counter to these creatures.
I was reading online. A lot of people were saying like, how stupid is she that she noticed? But you got to keep in mind she can't hear.
She can't
Like,
hear.
She can't fucking see
That's
what
what I
monster-
think
has
too.
no
creatures
idea.
right behind.
Yeah.
That-
Her sense of like this whole world is different than even
Right.
ours watching the
Oh,
movie because she's
right.
deaf. She doesn't
Exactly.
But
really
basically, the
understand.
sound is their weakness,
Right,
And
and
that
that-
the frequency completely like
Yeah,
fucks
it
them
starts
up.
fucking with them. So basically, then they're in the truck. It was a truck, right? Or was it a
Well,
car?
the
was a truck,
monsters
yeah.
come and they know that they're coming. So the dad, Lee's like, get in the truck. So they run towards this truck that apparently they had prepared for. They literally have everything prepared in this movie anywhere they go. So they go and get in the truck. And
because the kid was even practicing in the truck like early on in the movie, wasn't he? So
yeah, with the brake.
Cool. And I was like, what the fuck is he doing? Now it makes sense.
I mean, the first encounter with the creature, Lee, I think he takes a swing at him with I don't even remember.
It's like a rake or something.
A rake.
Oh, fuck, yeah.
He raked that creature, but and then obviously he gets attacked, and then
we're gearing up. To
he screams so his kids can get away.
I can't even. I don't even want to talk about that part. It makes me so emotional.
And John Krasinski dies.
Yeah.
But it's in the worst.
To jump right to it.
Just to get the worst.
No, I mean,
part over, right?
it was very emotional because I mean,
it is. It's
like,
hard to watch
throughout the whole
part
movie. There's it's his relationship with his wife. It's with his kids. So and they focus on that a lot. I mean, the movie isn't in any way about the creatures. I mean, the creatures they're complimentary. They're just there. I mean, that's what it is. It focuses on the family. It focuses on the relationships, and just the way that scene happened. I could have never imagined this movie be that emotional. Just the whole sign language. Sign language is like I love you. I've always loved you.
Yeah, as he dies,
and then he screams.
It's kind of like him
saying
it to his daughter after the son had told him earlier on, like, you need to tell her that you love her.
Yeah, like
so he's doing it.
You see him and his daughter struggling with their relationship like throughout the entire movie. So, and he and his wife were literally just saying that we need to do whatever we can to protect our kids.
And that's the thing.
So that's when he literally does. The one thing he can do is sacrifice himself for his children, and right before, which, oh my god, I can't even. I just started immediately tearing up because he's.
I kind of wish he hadn't died.
Oh,
for the way it happened
was
the
perfect,
movie,
or
or
the way it happened was perfect.
It is, but I don't know. Part of me is like, I kind of wish he didn't die.
Well, I wish I was like a
him.
fan. Yeah,
but
like just kind of loving his character. I didn't want him to die, but I mean,
the way he sacrificed himself was perfect.
Literally
done.
perfect. Yeah, I mean, the whole movie kind of sets it up.
Only Man of Steel could have done it like that. I guess they tried to.
What are you talking about?
Just the whole part.
I'm sorry, Clark could have easily saved fucking Jonathan because I mean,
it's the same
the part with the dad.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck are you referring to?
No, that's because honestly, I hate that when this was happening in the movie, that's where my mind went. And so for a I didn't start laughing or anything, but I was thinking back to that part, and I was like, this is so much better.
It's the way they did it was goofy, but I guess I kind of have just accepted it.
Oh, yeah.
Either way, though,
time.
in this movie, he literally signs to his daughter saying, "I've always loved you. I love you." And
then that yell.
And
that
then
yell he lets out is just like,
he lets out this huge scream.
Heartbreaking.
Oh
really
my
is,
gosh!
yeah.
And that's the end of it. And his kids like roll down the hill in this truck.
Yeah, they hit the
brake
and
and just like go down, and then there's another one at the point where I thought the movie was basically almost over, and I guess it was, but then there is still more that happens because basically they get down there and they go back into the house, and I guess the creatures now are fucking
Yeah, it's actually.
coming.
I guess it's like at some point you think like, oh, the worst is over. Like they can just go and be with their mom and the new baby, and then
we didn't really talk too. Not that I mean the whole thing too when like Emily Blunt's character woke up and like it was like fucking flooding in the basement.
Right.
Like so she wasn't even done with like her whole ordeal. She went through more of like basically like tiptoeing around in this like flooded basement with a creature in there.
Scary. Yeah,
yeah.
In the fucking water.
Really, if you think about it. Her character had the worst luck this entire movie, and then her husband dies, and she has to take care of the kids and a newborn by herself.
Right, exactly. I mean, dude, Emily Blunt. I mean,
she is the worst life in this movie.
Fucking amazing.
Mother of the Year.
She was seriously
Mother of the Year
is
right.
And the whole way she was cast, obviously, John Krasinski is the director, and I think maybe one of you guys told me this, or we were talking about it. Like she pretty much asked to be cast for this role,
yeah.
which is fucking perfect because their chemistry, man. I mean it transitions very well on screen.
Right.
Definitely.
And then from there, they basically come face to face with the monster, and that's when they figure out they're one of the monsters, and that's when they figure out that the frequency, like
in the earpiece,
that whole earpiece
really hurts him, and the daughter sees like all the earpieces that he made, so she sees that obviously he really did love her.
Yeah, that's very powerful.
He's been trying to do this for like a long time, and
dude, I mean, I started choking up at that part too.
Powerful is right.
Very
emotionally powerful. That's what this movie was.
No way. I didn't expect this movie to be this emotional because all the reviews were saying, "Dude, this movie's
so
fucking
scary,
horrifying."
So scary,
it was not.
And I guess going into it and being people that kind of look at reviews beforehand, we kind of just thought like that's what this was like it's so good because it's so scary. It's like such a good horror
It wasn't
movie,
really about it being emotional, but
for sure.
was.
If
this movie had horror elements to it, but like I think the story was just so much more.
I feel like it was more scary in a sense of thinking about living in a world like that. is the most terrifying thing. Like, you have to try and live and, like, not make any mistakes, any sound. And so that concept in general is just, like,
because it's like no matter how good you get at it, too, there's always just going to be fuck up.
There's anything that can happen.
With a lot of actual horror movies or whatever, I know for me, myself, whenever I'm watching one of those movies, I always think, how fucking stupid are these characters? They always do something very, very stupid, or like a stupid mistake, or like, you know, you're always wondering, why would they do that? They should be a little bit more careful. In this movie, I never really felt that way.
Or anytime you ask that, they answer why they're doing it.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, this movie was very well thought out. The characters were, I mean, you know, they were prepared.
And basically, to pretty much finish, like, the plot stuff, like, they come face to face with the monster, and then she shoots it, right?
Yeah,
once its like head comes out or whatever. When
which is also really cool to see, because it was one of those things where I'm really glad we didn't get too much backstory with the creatures, or even too much of what they actually looked like. But that, I mean, we saw what they looked like, but it wasn't like these long shots on it. That whole thing where it's like head is kind of like the armor's coming off of its head, and it's kind of like fucking freaking out. I thought that looked so cool.
It's very Alien, very 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yeah, it looked fucking awesome.
And then basically they figure out that sound is its weakness, and then the two more are coming. And
dude, that's the other thing. When they show
that shotgun cock.
Yeah, I love that. But even when they show the two on the screen, like fucking running, that was very fucking creepy.
The way the movie ends,
it's at that point you're not being scared anymore. You're getting pumped when you see those things. It's those two creatures running. And then Emily Blunt just like, you know, cocks back the shotgun, and it's like fucking
and that's
it.
And
I love that. Wait, I was reading another thing. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Somebody online on Reddit was also saying, like,
but you're wrong.
I do really love the ending, but after Emily Blunt cocks back the shotgun, she should have been, let's kill these sons of bitches.
Oh, my God.
That's awful.
Horrible. That person's opinion's wrong.
I think this is the same person that had the whole thing. Like, let's cut the audio out.
Wow.
This man seems like the worst.
The whole movie's silent. Why the fuck would she say that?
You know, I meant to actually put that whole quote in here. Why didn't I do that? Because his whole Reddit comment was like hilarious. I don't think I did it, but let me just double check.
That's so ridiculous, though, that a movie that has barely any dialogue, you want that to be one of the lines.
I'm glad the movie.
You gotta be kidding me.
Oh wait, if that was the final line, Jesus.
Wait, this is hilarious, dude. This is the same guy. He goes, "I'm sorry to whoever this is." He goes,
let's roast him.
I also had a thought that perhaps people pay a little more for a different experience, where people's phones would have been taken away, their shoes have been taken away, and there would be sand lining in the theater. And people would have to walk on that and sit down without making any noise. So crunchy food would have been served. Wait, no crunchy food would have been served, and whatever
mashed potatoes,
and whatever you would get to eat would be served on leaves. I would have paid for that.
Oh my God.
One question: how did the little kid know how to line the batteries in the toy?
You know what? I kind of respect him.
I get what he's going for.
He wants to have such a great experience.
He wants to have a good experience.
He's like, you know what? Let's go all out. Every movie.
Put your socks on and take your shoes off.
He's like, I want to go into a theater with like trees, and if I'm going to see Jumanji, I better have like a jungle.
In a fucking forest.
Yeah, I better be sitting in a forest.
That is funny
to watch
as
this
fuck.
movie.
I know. I was sitting there laughing at work. I was like, what the fuck? On my break, of course.
Yeah, because, like, you know.
Oh, man. All right, so we score it?
Yeah, let's score it. Let's do final thoughts and score it. Like I said, I thought it was really good. I kind of wanted to be scared more, but I understand that's not what the movie's about. So I guess it was more me, like my expectations kind of just.
I blame the internet for
that. It's the trailers, it's the expectations, the Rotten Tomatoes score, everything goes into that. But I'd give it like a solid like 8.2 out of 10. I mean, I really enjoyed it. It's better than a lot of horror movies. So yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah, I mean, y'all know I love this movie. I thought it was great, and like I said, I don't love horror movies, so going into it, I just wanted to see it because of how good I thought it looked.
It's kind of fun.
It was.
It's a fun movie.
It is. It's a movie that you really kind of like. It's one of those things where I see a lot of movies that are really good, but I'm like, I couldn't watch that again.
It's like a chore.
And this is a movie. I mean, it's short, so that always helps. But this is a movie I could go watch again very easily.
Length is key.
Yeah, for sure. And so, like I said, I thought it was gonna be scarier, but I didn't necessarily want it to be that scary. So that part didn't bum me out. So I mean, I give this movie a 9 out of 10. I thought it was great.
Ooh.
I loved it.
High roller.
Funny thing is, last time we talked about this movie, I think I gave it like an 8.5 or an 8 point something because. I don't know. I loved this movie too, but I feel like for some reason, I was like, oh, I'm not going to score it that high. But talking about it again and thinking about it again, I honestly would do like 9.5.
I'd rewatch it, that's for sure.
Just because I feel like it's such a simple movie and it's so easy to watch and you care so much about each of the characters. I think they do so well with that. And I also super appreciate the fact that John Krasinski literally said, like, I made this as a love
Dude,
story
yeah.
to my kids.
In an interview, that's what he said.
And-
What a
Fucking-
dude.
And I'm just like,
What a
man,
man.
how can you not support everything this dude does?
I heard he's doing his next kind of project is like a sci-fi, something on Mars is what he's thinking about doing next.
beautiful.
I
Oh,
just can't
dude, I
wait.
love
How
it.
beautiful
Yeah.
is that?
Yeah,
But yeah,
let's
so
go.
I feel like honestly, I'd score it higher than I originally thought I would. And
Nice.
great movie, great movie.
Great movie.
What you got?
It's a
What
number.
You got, Omar?
She said, I
I
think
did.
number
Oh,
my bad.
I said between like a 9.5. So like, let's 9.3.
Nice.
I'm gonna do it.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna stick with my rating from last week when we initially.
I stuck with
rated
mine
it.
too.
When we tried to do this. in
Obviously, like I said, I've never really rated a movie out of 10. So I'm not gonna for this movie either. I mean, it was a very simple concept. You know, I loved it. Just everything about it worked. All the actors, man. I mean, I don't know. There's nothing really that I could say I'd complain about with this movie. So I'm gonna go with a 9.5. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yes,
It's
sir.
good stuff. It's good
So
stuff.
I
We
think,
love this movie.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
you
go
can
see it.
tell
It was-
it
very
was so
much.
good.
that we
Although if
love
you're
it.
listening to this, you hopefully saw it or you just ruined it all for yourself. So
If you're one of those people that wants
recommend
the
you
movie
see it again.
ruined,
yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
go see it again.
I'd watch it
support it.
again, that's for sure.
hell yeah.
So yeah, that's the show.
That's us
We
wrapping
did
it
it.
up.
That's our first episode.
If you guys hear a
Missed
lot of
the
rain and
bus.
thunder in the second half of this, we are sorry. I don't know how we're gonna get that out. but
Also, I completely apologize if you keep hearing me cough. I don't know what's happening to me.
she's been sick for like
I'm
4
not
months.
sick.
That time
I think
of
it's
the year.
allergies. All I'm saying is I apologize. So, you know,
Okay.
I thought it'd be
Right.
nice to apologize. Never
it's
mind. I
fair.
take it back.
No, you can't take that
You're not
back.
forgiven.
Either
Jesus.
way, okay. I guess we're wrapping this up. This first
Ending.
episode.
Yeah, I mean, we really hope you enjoyed it. We had a lot of fun doing it. The show's going to evolve as we go. We'll probably get a lot better at it.
We're gonna talk
But
about
yeah.
a lot of different things.
If
It'll be
not,
cool.
I super enjoy doing it. So
Yeah.
I'm fine with
I hope
keeping
people,
to do it.
Yeah, I hope
Just
you're
keep-
still listening, and
just
if so, just
keep
keep coming
listening.
back.
Keep
every
on
week.
keeping on, you know.
we appreciate any views or listens or whatever. So
Share with your friends. Tell them
Yeah.
we're great.
for sure.
Missed the bus. Share that with your friends.
That's it. That's the show.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the show.
I'm blue, I've been deed, I've been died, I've been deed, I've been died, I've been deed, I've been